dot on your target, then you blow the shit out the mother.
I mean subliminal, otherwise known as a villain. Because I'm ruthless, when I spot a sucker, I...
Before the world knew him as Eazy-E, before the sunglasses, the sharp voice, and the ruthless image, there was a young man named Eric Lynn Wright.
Why do you wear lokes? You know, it's very rare that anyone ever sees you without your lokes, like on television or in videos or...
Why?
Yes.
I'll show you why.
No, don't do it. I know exactly.
Just on my eyes.
I'm not even looking. I'm not even...
Born on September 7th, 1964, in Compton, California. Compton in the 1970s was not just a place, it was a pressure cooker. Gang violence, racial tension, and economic struggle shaped everyday life. Survival was not optional, it was mandatory. Eric grew up in a working-class household. His father worked as a postal employee, and his mother was a school administrator, two people trying their best to raise a family in an environment stacked against them. Despite their efforts, the streets had their own influence. As Eric entered his teenage years, Compton's gang culture became impossible to ignore. School never felt like a safe space for him. Eric attended Compton High School, but dropped out in the 10th grade. Later, he would earn his GED, but by then, the streets had already claimed much of his attention. Like many young men around him, Eric became involved in illegal hustles. It was dangerous, but it paid fast. By his early 20s, Eric claimed he had already made hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yet, behind the tough image was a young man who was watching death closely. When a cousin of his was killed, something shifted. Eric realized the street life came with a deadline, and it was always earlier than expected. He wanted out, but not into a regular job. He wanted ownership, control, a way to turn street reality into something permanent. That moment planted the seed for music. Eric met Jerry Heller, a music industry veteran who saw potential where others saw risk. Together, they founded Ruthless Records, a move that would change hip-hop forever.
Look at Eazy, like, why don't you do it, man? You got a voice. Your voice is gonna sound good on the record. And he was like, hell nah, man, what? It's like, all right, give it to me. And then I tried to tell him to rhyme. Back then, it was just like, nah, man, that ain't how you say that line. Say it like this. Right.
Now I wanna turn up, hush. Now I wanna turn up, hush.
So we was going back and forth. It took forever to get 2 or 3 lines out. So Dre was like, you know what? Everybody just leave. I'm gonna work with this dude. So we left, came back later on that night. They hadn't even finished the first verse. I was like, damn, I'm gone. I left again. Came back the next day, they was in the middle of the second verse. Came back the next night, that same night.
Eric wasn't thinking about being famous, he was thinking about building something that could last. Around the same time, 2 young talents entered his circle. Dre, a gifted producer, and Ice Cube, a sharp lyricist. What started as street conversations slowly transformed into studio sessions. Eric wasn't supposed to be the rapper, he was the businessman. But fate had other plans. When Ice Cube wrote Boys in the Hood and no one else could perform it, Eric stepped up reluctantly. He wasn't polished, he wasn't trained, but his voice carried something real, something raw. Dre arted immediately. That moment marked the birth of Eazy-E, not just an artist, but a symbol of a new movement that was about to shake the world.
Because I'm ruthless, when I spot a sucker, I kill him. But most I think know not to deal with. Well, I'm Eazy-E, I got bitches galore. You might have a lot of bitches, but I got much more. Here's a store, but don't point. Walk inside, case the joint. One man behind the counter, another...
When Eazy-E first stepped into the recording booth, he didn't see himself as a rapper. He had no ambition to be lyrical or smooth. What he had was authenticity. His voice sounded like the streets because it came from them. Dr. Dre believed that authenticity was exactly what hip-hop needed. Recording Boys in the Hood was not easy. Eazy struggled with delivery, timing, and confidence. Sessions took hours to record just a few lines. But Dre was patient. Slowly, line by line, Eazy found his rhythm. When the track was finished, no one expected what happened next. The song exploded. For the first time, mainstream America heard gangster rap, not filtered, not softened, just real stories told without apology. Radio stations played it non-stop. The streets embraced it immediately. In 1988, Eazy-E released his debut album, Easy Does It. Produced by Dr. Dre and DJ Yella and written largely by Ice Cube and MC Ren, the album became a cultural moment. What made Eazy different was honesty. He never pretended he wrote his own lyrics. He openly credited his crew, something rare in hip-hop at the time. Soon after, N.W.A. recorded Straight Outta Compton. The album was aggressive, controversial, and historic. Songs like Straight Outta Compton and F the Police triggered outrage from authorities, politicians, and media, but that outrage only fueled its success. Eazy-E became the face of gangster rap. His image, dark glasses, calm confidence, dangerous reputation made him unforgettable. Yet people close to him described a different man behind the scenes. Eazy was funny, playful, and generous. He loved joking with friends and family, often surprising people who expected a villain. The contrast between Eazy-E the artist and Eric Wright the man was striking. On record, he sounded ruthless. In real life, he laughed constantly. But success came with pressure. Egos amplified, money raised questions, and cracks began to form inside N.W.A. Ice Cube was the first to leave. As N.W.A.'s success grew, so did tensions behind the scenes. Ice Cube began questioning the group's financial structure. Despite massive sales, members were receiving relatively small payouts. Cube believed Jerry Heller was controlling the money and that Eazy-E was allowing it. When Ice Cube requested to review his contract, he was denied. That moment destroyed trust. Cube walked away, leaving the group fractured. What followed was one of the most legendary rap feuds in history. N.W.A. released projects that included subliminal disses toward Ice Cube. Cube responded with No Vaseline, a brutal and surgical diss track that many consider the greatest ever recorded. The damage was irreversible. Shortly after, Dr. Dre began planning his exit. He discovered he was earning only pennies per record. Furious, he demanded change. Eazy refused to fire Jerry Heller, and Dre walked away, eventually joining Suge Knight to form Death Row Records. The split turned hostile. Suge Knight used intimidation tactics to force Eazy-E into signing release papers. Though Eazy later outsmarted Death Row with a fake signature, the damage was done. Diss tracks followed, including Dre's Dre Day. Eazy responded calmly and strategically. He released Real Motherfucking G's, exposing Dre's past and reclaiming his reputation. The track was powerful, smart, and devastating. It reminded the world that Eazy-E was not just a businessman, he was a mastermind. Despite all the violence, threats, and chaos, Eazy wanted peace. He later reconciled with Ice Cube and began discussing a full N.W.A. reunion. Even Dr. Dre had agreed, but time was running out. The contrast between Eazy-E the artist and Eric Wright the man was striking. On record, he sounded ruthless. In real life, he laughed constantly. But success came with pressure. Fame amplified egos, money raised questions, and cracks began to form inside N.W.A. Ice Cube was the first to leave. In early 1995, Eazy-E began experiencing breathing problems. At first, he ignored them. Asthma seemed like a reasonable explanation. He continued working, recording, and planning the N.W.A. reunion, but his condition worsened rapidly. After being hospitalized multiple times, doctors delivered shocking news. Eazy-E had AIDS, already in its advanced stage. The diagnosis stunned everyone. Few even knew he was sick. On March 16, 1995, Eazy released a public statement urging young people to protect themselves and learn from his mistakes. He wanted his pain to become a warning. Within days, complications intensified. Severe pneumonia took over his lungs. he was placed into a medically induced coma. On March 26, 1995, Eric Lynn Wright passed away, just 30 years old. Eazy-E's death left hip-hop in shock. Rumors spread, conspiracy theories emerged, but facts couldn't change one truth: the culture had lost a pioneer. Eazy-E didn't just help create gangsta rap, he changed the music industry. He gave voices from the streets a global platform. He proved that ownership mattered, and he showed that authenticity could not be manufactured. Today, his influence lives on through artists, producers, and movements inspired by his fearlessness. Eric Wright came from Compton, but his legacy belongs to the world. Rest in peace, Eazy-E.